Tensions are on the rise on the U.S.-Mexican border as nearly 3,000 migrants poured into the city of Tijuana in the recent days. Mexico has been a welcoming country and Tijuana a welcoming border. Most recently, in 2016, the city welcomed over 3,000 Haitians who fled from Hurricane Matthew. But with more than 10,000 Central Americans headed their way, trying to cross the U.S. border, it seems like the city's residents are growing a bit angry. Over the weekend, Tijuana residents took to the streets to protest, saying they want the migrants to move out. They accuse these migrants of being messy, ungrateful, and a danger to the city, and referred to the caravan as an invasion. But many migrants say that they come in peace, asking for asylum.
Thank God. I feel good because I'm here. Many of those who have come here want to be here, and I'm here to pick up a number to ask for asylum.
I worry that something that should not happen would happen because we came in peace. We don't want to hurt at any moment any Mexican or stay here. We simply came here to realize our dream, to realize our American dream like most people.
The mayor went on to say that Tijuana will not tolerate any disorder or disrespect for the law.
This is not going to be solved in 10 days. The situation is going to at least last another 6 months, and there's no limit as to when it will end. Because of that, we are asking the federal government to do what has to be done, which has not been done so far, which is supporting Tijuana and solving the problem that we have here.
The Mexican government and local organizations have opened several makeshift shelters. Sports centers are also serving as shelters. But with another 7,000 migrants not too far behind, capacity is running out. Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto said the rights of migrants must be respected.
It is certain that the best way to prevent people from migrating involuntarily is to promote internal development among all of our nations. However, as long as this phenomenon continues to occur, we must commit to the human rights of all migrants, regardless of their migratory conditions.
U.S. border inspectors are processing only about 100 asylum claims per day. And according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the U.S.-Mexico San Ysidro port of entry was temporarily shut down just this morning. This to allow border agents to add more protective barriers. With the migrant caravan in question, we now turn to immigration attorney Allen Orr. Allen, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So I want to start with the temporary border shutdown. Now, this is the world's largest border, and there are over 40,000 vehicles legally entering that border into the United States, and over 100,000 people a day. So people who legally cross to work from Mexico to the United States. How is this impacting the economy?
Well, it's definitely impacting the economy. It's slowing things down, right? It's taking longer for people to just do their everyday thing. And maybe some people aren't going to be able to cross because of the closing this morning, disrupting businesses in the United States as well as businesses in Mexico. But clearly from the information you have, it's just drama, right? Because if we can handle that many people, a couple of thousand more people to address or to wait as they are now to file an asylum claim shouldn't be that big of a problem.
With President Trump's immigration so harsh, he ran on immigration, campaigned on immigration, his tough stance on it. Do you think this is part of him? You know, he sent so many troops to the border. Is this part of his fight, you know, helping and cooperate with all this? Is this part of his fight to keep people from coming in?
Absolutely part of his fight, because instead of sending troops to the border, he could have sent immigration judges, right? He could have set up courts to help sort of do this administratively faster. So it also, when you hear the message from Tijuana, you hear the language of Trump, right? You hear this invasion, you hear this taking, which is really not happening from these people who we shouldn't really call a caravan. We should call them survivors, right? These are individuals who are fleeing for their lives. So they're survivors here looking for a better life.
Now, given that it's kind of ironic, a lot of these people who are protesting and taking the streets in Tijuana, they are themselves people who have fled from other parts of Mexico for protection, for the same reason, to come to a safer border town, to potentially eventually cross to the U.S. Now, they're kind of in the same situation, although they are from other parts of Mexico. They were also fleeing and seeking asylum. How ironic is that?
Right, I think it's troublesome, right? Because it just sort of shows you what Trumpism can do to the world, right? Because really what you don't have a problem is a problem of people. You have a problem of priorities, right? Because there isn't running out of food, there isn't running out of capacity between the nations that make up the Americas, right? Because it's an American problem. And we should look towards solutions sort of addressing the issues that are bringing the people forward rather than saying we're going to hold them here or we're going to camp them out or it's too many, because that's really not addressing the problem. That's only looking at a temporary solution in these cases. So it's really not a holistic immigration program that we're looking at. And it is very much the impact of Trump and the fact that it's a border city that really requires a lot of the U.S. nationals to go there for shopping, for hanging out. So they're sort of following the language of Trumpism.
Right, and do you think that's part of the cause why, in 2016, this city, the residents were welcoming to the Haitians who fled from the hurricane? Now we're seeing something differently here. Now they're getting angry, protesting, taking to the streets. We didn't see that back then. Why do you think that changed?
I think so. The Haitians is a difficult situation because there are a lot of things that sort of impacted that, and they have sort of matriculated into society, and now they have businesses, and they're sort of taking some of the jobs that they didn't want. I think part of it is definitely the Trumpism. The other part of it is that I want to say that Mexico has stepped up taking more refugees along the way. But from the borders, people sort of come through sort of saying, we want to help absorb you, sort of make things better, and it's a problem. I think it's a specific city that's addressing that, that's saying, there's so many people here now, when is enough enough, right? And that's really a government issue, once again, of saying it's about the priorities. It's about the United States and Mexico working together to say, well, look, there are other places that we might need these workers to go. There's other situations. Maybe we need to address the conditions in their home countries to make sure that the flow doesn't continue to come any longer. That's a better solution.
And that's kind of what President Enrique Peña Nieto noted when he gave that interview statement about that. Now, over the weekend, President Trump took to Twitter in support of Tijuana mayor, saying that the U.S. too is not prepared to handle so many refugees. What do you make of the president's comments?
I think they're ill-founded, right? It doesn't really speak to the strength of the Trump administration if they can't handle this amount of people at all, right? It's a couple of thousand people that they need to process to either let them in or send them back home. So sort of saying that the U.S. isn't ready for that is not a real concern, right? We don't have this big population growth where there's a problem of too many people here. We have food, we have resources. So it's sort of changing the culture of the United States. And what used to be a welcoming, what made us so strong was having this great diversity. And now we're saying, no, it's too many from these survivors. But the problem is that it's only at this one port. It's not addressing any of the ports along Canada. It's not addressing any of the airports where tons of people come in every day. If it was a real concern about people, then we would be addressing all the ports, right? It's just an individual concern at a specific location.
And these migrant caravans, it's interesting. They're heading to San Diego-Tijuana border. Why aren't more of them heading to the Texas border? I mean, California has the most expensive taxes, it's a high cost of living. Why do you think that San Diego-Tijuana border and not Texas, for example?
I think it's just the way that people have gone in the past, right? I think there's this great education that people sort of give to these survivors of saying they know which ports to come through, they know all the rules, they read English, they speak English. That's not who they are, right? They're basically following the trails of the people before them, just like the pioneers that came to the United States. They're going the same way that people have gone before to find success, right? And California, to be honest, used to be Mexico.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, thank you so much, Allen Orr, for joining us with your expertise on the matter.
Thank you for having me.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.